Hello, good day to yous, and welcome back to Stories, the Path of Destinies.
The clouds parted over the Isles of
Alright,
Boreas.
Route
It was time to choose.
7 or
The rebellion
8?
was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Bernardo knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong. But he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it, to take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course.
Yeah, the one thus far that seems to lead to a good ending.
And he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage.
If I go down that route, is that gonna lock me into doing the same thing again? So there's presumably more options along that route to get endings 1, 3, and 4. Alright, well we can test that later. Let's maybe do one of the other routes. Go do this again, or the stone. I think I'm more interested in finding out more about this stone.
The island was windswept desert. Every child could sing verses about the Sky Ripper, but ancient codices held hints of other things. A stone that
Oh
ate
god, my
souls.
health. Why is
A
my
ruby
health
that
so low?
drank blood. A jewel only a
Is that
righteous
carrying
man
over
could give
too?
away. Were all these things the Iblis stone? Long hidden in a buried temple? Another ancient item that was only resurfacing now? Drawn up from the deeps by the Emperor's horrific rituals? What was he doing here? Last time, the stone had fought him for possession of his own soul. Everybody who wants to die, raise your weapon. All right.
And away he goes. Took me a second to remember how to grab. Oh god. Not like that, please.
The ravens were already here, cawing in frustration. They were still searching for a way in. Good. Then he hadn't come too late. Power, precision, ferocity. The device was a woman. Buy it a drink.
So what's the deal here? I've already got the artifact, but I haven't done anything. How far along these routes are we gonna progress?
noticed that path before?
Is this a new path? I feel like I've come here and read this before. Yeah, this is the order from the Emperor to get stone, but don't touch it for too long. Don't even look at it. Just put it in the box.
A road less traveled. This could be fun. If it wasn't fatal, that is.
There's not really a lot of reason for me to go do that anymore. Ow.
Don't look down, he told himself. Don't look down.
So fast.
There had to be some way to use the Iblis stone. It was old, wasn't it? People are so much cleverer now.
Yeah, you throw your enemy at it, and they betray themselves. I'm pretty sure I've gone through that door too. Did I have a branching path over here somewhere, maybe? There's definitely some sort of weird interaction with... I mean, that guy had a pretty weird interaction too. Ow! There's a strange interaction when I'm attacking that like delays when I can actually use my sword ability, and like when the claw comes out and whether or not it grabs shields. Just can't get a hang for it.
This wasn't actually such a hard puzzle, come to think of it. It was a stone of the purest blackness. It reflected no light, like a void made.
Skipping along.
It was the stone, eager, thirsty.
Guess I could go try to purify the stone with the mountain sages, because I didn't do that last time.
That seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch, but they had been close once.
Yeah, it's still no way to skip that.
He had a sneaking suspicion the gem would try to control him. Why not capture the core of Sky Ripper instead? It was the eye of a lost god, torn out by the transcendent Emperor to power his greatest weapon. It's the core, said the stone anxiously.
The core, you mean that thing that's floating behind me shooting lasers at everybody?
But even though Renato knew how evil the gem was, he had a clever plan for dealing with it.
Do we? What was that clever plan? Did I ever do this? I don't think so. Find the gem, find the core, meet the scientists. Yeah, definitely not on that route right now. know. Maybe I am. Yeah, if I do this, then I can go talk to, No, I can go meditate to try to cleanse it. That'll get me a slightly different route. Let's go with the clever plan. This one's completely fresh.
Could give great power, but it was evil. But Reynardo had a plan. He would divide the stone into the power half and the evil half. He sought out the sage
I can't tell if that's the
Calaveras.
sake or if I just have like some fresh laundry around here or something. It's very
Croaked Calaveras.
flowery.
can make one. Calaveras set
Oh,
up
it might be because I had the
various
window
shiny
open earlier.
things.
The
Soon Reynardo was
fresh
setting the stone
rain
down in the
is
middle of
really nice for
Calaveras'
clearing up the
lab.
air.
There was a flash, and now Reynardo was looking at himself, except with a mustache.
Oh yeah,
Goatee
right, evil
and
Renardo.
darker
This just
hair.
instantly kills
There
me,
were
doesn't it?
two Iblis stones, one light and one dark. Reynardo took the light one.
Oops.
He felt a rush of great power. Now I could defeat the Emperor.
I forgot about insignificant ends,
Wait a
not just
minute.
bad ends.
Unfortunately, he couldn't think of any way to use it without hurting someone. That wouldn't be nice. Give me that, said his evil-looking twin.
And I can't just
And he
skip
drew his
this.
sword. He only got it halfway out of the scabbard when he fainted from the effort. Obviously, neither weak, evil Reynardo nor powerful, nice Reynardo was any threat to the Empire. After the Emperor's victory, they were exhibited in a museum until time ended, which was soon after. He had tried something bold and paid the price for it. Every child could sing verses about the Sky Ripper, but ancient codices held hints of other things. A stone that ate
So
souls,
many dashes.
a ruby that drank blood, a jewel only a righteous man could give away. Were all these things the Iblis stone? Long hidden in a buried temple. Another ancient item that was only resurfacing now. Drawn up from the deeps by the Emperor's horrific rituals.
Yep, tried to freeze them there, didn't do anything. The only thing that has been rather reliable is countering people.
The Ravens were already here, cawing in frustration. They were still searching for a way in. Good. Then he hadn't come too late.
Just want to get through these as quick as possible.
Energy spheres.
Yeah.
Easy to dodge, but boy do they sting if you didn't pay attention.
10 damage? Nah.
There had to be some way to use the Iblis stone. It was old.
So is
wasn't
this
it?
a quicker road?
People are so much cleverer now.
Maybe.
And Reynardo was pretty sure he was cleverer than most people.
No, this is nothing.
Smartly, thought Reynardo.
Ow. Need to turn up the
Ravens at least could not get past this
graphics
Obviously,
to
the
actually
temple
see
builders
those
knew how to
particle
deal
effects,
with
because I
two
cannot
ravens.
tell when those spouts are shooting.
There was an inscription, no spitting. It was a stone of the purest blackness. It reflected no light, like a void made. It was the stone.
Okay, let's go try to
Eager.
cleanse you this time.
Thirsty.
Nah, I think I'm good. Sounds like a lot of responsibility.
Seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch. But they had been close once, and he had a sneaking suspicion the gem would try to control him. Why not capture the core of Sky Ripper instead? It was the eye of a lost god torn out by the transcendent Emperor to power his greatest weapon. What's the core? Said the stone anxiously. But even though Renato knew how evil the gem was, he had a clever plan for dealing with it.
I'm a bit disappointed that that bad end that I've done twice now doesn't have some sort of note like, hey, this is probably a terrible idea. Feels like a bit of an oversight when they're updating all the other paths.
The stone bothered him. He hated being told what to do. The moment he landed the Farfarer, Renato had a rare feeling of regret. It's not too late, he thought. He could turn around and sail for Zenobia's island. He frowned. Wait a minute. He didn't want to kill Zenobia, did he? Sure, technically she was the enemy, but they'd been at sword food school. They'd never been lovers, but somehow... There was something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time. War. If only you had some sort of gun that made portal. The stone hadn't lied about what it could do for him. With each raven he cut down, he felt a jolt of power flowing into his arm. You're weak, whispered the stone. Are you afraid of it? Don't be ridiculous. It chuckled.
No, not that one.
It will poison you so much as it carried it. If you try to use it, it will explode catastrophically. Renato did not trust it.
Ah, we're doing it anyway, though.
As he approached the core,
Look,
the
now I have
stone
2
became
cores.
hysterical.
Twice the potential to end the world.
He had a sudden vision of plunging his gauntlet into the... He had defeated the demonic gem with the power of his mind. He felt invincible. It was time to attack the Imperial outpost on the Nexus. Take the battle to the enemy.
Although I guess I haven't done that
But
one
among
yet.
the huge crystals, there was also an observatory. A wise man would probably ask the scientists exactly what he had first.
Maybe we should
How
be
wise
decidedly
was he?
unwise.
As the Farfarer sailed towards the Nexus, Renato wondered if the core had been created to silence the stone, or even to feed its hunger. Well, honestly, he didn't care.
Hardly important at this
He
time.
felt terrific, and he appreciated the quiet inside his head. The Nexus was infested with ravens, but that didn't bother Renato. With each death, The converted Iblis stone in his godless glowed brighter, and he felt stronger. Wow. He was getting a bit bloodthirsty, wasn't he? Well, he wasn't worried. He was a warrior. They're supposed to be
Easy peasy.
bloodthirsty.
Oh, I have enough for a level.
All the recent fighting had taught him something
What to
new.
get at this point? No more stamina. I could get more health. Slightly larger buffer. Have enough throw distance to maybe throw people off ledges? Nah. That actually sounds like it could be kind of useful.
It was like having a pet. Well, like having a goblin. The core, absorbed in the stone, was doing its job perfectly. Bernardo could feel a little eldritch jolt every time he downed a raven, but then it flowed into the glowing stone the way water flows down a riverbed. It all felt perfectly natural, as if all his life, this was what he had been meant to do.
Getting better.
Renato tore through the last remaining guards at the outpost like hot coffee through snow. There was a far speaker toad here. He called the council speaker.
It's a fine analogy, I suppose. Could have chosen a much less savory
She
liquid.
wanted him to come back to base. They had plans to discuss and a medal to give him. A large, golden medal. Great, said Renato. Let's talk about who else I can kill. Then the far speaker croaked again.
Hello, Renato.
He said,
If you get sick of slaughtering second-rate birds in the Nexus, I'm waiting for you in the mountains.
Zenobia. She missed him. She loved him. Once she saw how awesome he'd become, maybe she'd join him. They'd kiss and well, if she did refuse for some reason, he was no match for him now.
How could she? You're a total stud. Who cares? I can take her out anyway. Renato was becoming a powerhouse. He was ready to bring the fight to the Empire, but then Zenobia sent him an open invitation into a trap. He knew it was a trap. She knew he knew. But whatever she had in store, it would not be enough to stop him. He should go to the mountains and teach her a lesson. Or it's obviously an ambush. Let's go to the base. Of course, it was just a desperate attempt to distract him from his mission. He had the power to save the rebellion. He would do just that. To the rebel base he would go. I feel like we've gotten slight alterations on both of these already. Let's see a first-hand experience.
Zenobia was taunting him. No doubt.
I think we've always just kind of shown up after the matter.
Well, he was nobody's sucker. Especially not hers. He carried victory in his gauntlet. He would go where the council pointed him. As he set foot on the island, Renato felt energized, like when he was hunting or dancing. Then he smelt it, the stench of ravens. It was a good thing he was here too, before they tripped over the secret base. He was really saving the council toad's bacon, so to speak. wondered how much Hypatia had known about the book she protected. Enough to tell her son to protect it. Enough to tell Renato to protect her son. He
Man,
let her
leveling up
down.
all these artifacts, I'm so strong. What was that? Could have sworn I just saw something up there.
Renato had an artifact that made him practically a godlike warrior. All he had to do now was collect his medal, head for the Imperial fleet, and raise some hell.
Oh yeah, no, that's a pretty long amount of time there.
See? Renato was a hero of the revolution. He deserved a medal. Soon, he deserved every medal they had, and hopefully one big medal ceremony in front of everybody with trumpets so everyone could know what he'd accomplished.
Say goodnight, Gracie, said Renato, wondering who Gracie was.
That wall saved my life. Oh, it's getting in my way too.
Long stairs. So he was close to the rebel base. It was on fire. So far, so good. Like the world's deadliest foe right by his side.
Oh, come on, open up. Renato's got places to be, people to see. Already out.
Inside the rebel base, Renato was invited to the
Well, I
council's
can't be bothered to go
private
upstairs to
chamber.
get some more.
So, this is the Iblis Stone? He said. I can feel its power.
Renato told her how he had fed the core to the stone and made something even more useful than either.
Crazy like a fox.
She croaked, and Renato chuckled as if
Have I
he'd
met
never
this
heard the
frog
joke
before? They look
We've given
new.
you the best quarters.
Don't remember anybody with bright glowing eyes.
All for you. So they'd remembered. He woke in the morning with the sweetest of hangovers. But the Iblis stone was gone from his gauntlet. The
Maybe
corridors
because
were
every
empty,
time I've come
except
here,
for a
they've
few
already been
rebels
dead.
who looked just as hungover as him. Come on, you'll miss the battle, they yelled. Renato added sail as the Farfarers scudded across the sky. Who could have taken the Iblis stone? Was it some Imperial spy? He would find him and kill him and take the stone back.
Must find rock. Must find. Precious.
Renato had a bad taste in his mouth. He was killing ravens, but it wasn't fun. It felt like a chore. Oh, Renato hated chores. As a fox kid, he'd gone hungry rather than clean his room. He still didn't clean his room, he just moved house every few years. Who had the Iblis stone anyway? Up ahead, he could hear screaming and croaking and cawing. But who was winning? This was the craziest weapon he'd ever used. Or not.
Moving along quicker and quicker now. Well, I don't think I've gone this way before. It's over here.
forward, Renato noticed that some ravens were starting to ignore him, just running away.
Get back here, you
Who are they running
cowards! Fight
from?
me!
Some hero of the revolution? If some other so-called hero of the revolution had the stone and tried to take his victory and his medals, Renato was going to be seriously pissed off. He was the hero, not some other poser.
Oh, yeah, getting real strong now.
Tempted to just stand on the device and let it do all the killing for him. But that would be sporting, would it? Or fun?
Oh, I'm on pace to cut like 20 minutes off this run. I come for you, Emperor.
Finally, Renato came to the Emperor's ship. Zenobia lay dead in front of it. The ship was a wreck. Ravens lay dead, sprawled everywhere. Bloody feathers spattered across the deck and the dock. The council speaker came out. She was waving a sword around like a flag. "Look at me, Renato!" she croaked. The Iblis stone on the sword was black as coal. "Now I will be Empress, and all shall tremble before me."
Shit.
So the stone had her. It was in her brain, whining for blood. "I'm afraid I can't allow that," said Renato, and moved to fight her. Toads are not usually good with swords. Something about the footwork.
Or lack
And
thereof.
the council speaker was not even a warrior. She was always tripping over things, which is quite an impressive achievement when you're a toad. Yet somehow, she was pressing Renato backwards as he desperately tried to keep her sword away from his throat. "Look, why don't you keep the stone?" he asked. "You deserve it." "Blood and souls for Iblis," she croaked. "Blood and souls." She got under his guard with her sword. It was
Oh,
just
come
a
on.
tip.
You like Yellowstone, you should obviously see that Renato's the better fighter here. Why didn't you switch sides? Get rid of the toad.
As he died, he felt embarrassed more than anything else.
Lost to a frickin' toad. Tripping over her own feet. Evil Toad Run. A hero who deserves his medal, who will not let anyone steal the hero title. Well, continue on. It's like 6 runs done, only 20, 25-ish to go.
The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renato knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong. But he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had
Do I maybe
risen
just
out
want
of
to do
empty
evil
desert.
rock runs
The
today?
Iblis stone was hidden there.
Be a lot easier to keep track of.
It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it. To take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course. Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion, and he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage.
Back to the stone.
The island. Every child could sing verses about the Sky Ripper, but ancient codices held hints of other things. A stone that ate souls, a ruby that drank blood, a jewel only a righteous man could give away. Were all these things the Iblis stone? Long hidden in a buried temple. Another ancient item that was only
look back at my
resurfacing now. Drawn up from the
gems,
deeps
see if there's
by the
anything that'll help me
Emperor's horrific
get around
rituals.
faster.
With this device, he could
Who
travel.
knocked you down?
Ravens were already here, cawing in frustration. They were still searching for a way in. Good. And he hadn't come too late.
Yeah, one was a bit slower.
If he was a weapons engineer, Renato would make the cannonballs go much faster. And fire randomly, obviously.
Yeah, the last thing you want to be as a trap is predictable.
There had to be some way to use the Iblis stone. It was old, wasn't it? People are so much cleverer now. And
What
Renato
else for
was
upgrading?
pretty
I need
sure
a
he was
bench.
cleverer than most people. It barely landed a claw on him. The ravens at least could not get past this point. Obviously, the temple builders knew how to deal with tomb raiders.
You know, as long as you drink it fast, a nice beer isn't too bad either.
It was a stone of the purest blackness.
Alright, let's
It
go
reflected no light.
meditate on this.
A void made solid. Nervous, he picked it up. It was the stone. Eager, thirsty. That seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch. But they had been close once, and he had a sneaking suspicion the gem would try to control him. Why not capture the core of Sky Ripper instead? It was the eye of a lost god torn out by the transcendent Emperor to power his greatest weapon. "It's the core," said the stone anxiously. But even though Renato knew how evil the gem was, he had a clever plan for dealing with it.
Core, please.
The stone bothered. The moment he landed the Farfarer, Renato had a rare feeling of regret.
You know, I don't
It's
think
not
I've done too much
late,
exploring around
he
this
thought.
region. I usually just jump
Could
right
turn
down that
around
well.
and
What's
sail
over
for
here?
Zenobia's Island. He frowned.
A
Wait
chest.
a minute. He didn't want to kill Zenobia, did he?
And...
Sure, technically she was the enemy, but they'd been at Sword Fu school together. They'd never been lovers, but
There's a bench there.
somehow
I can go
they
check out
seemed
some
closer.
stuff.
She'd told him every secret about herself, except the biggest one, that she was the Emperor's daughter.
I could
the
put on
stone.
Shieldbreaker, so I just have to... Yeah, Shieldbreaker. I can just wildly swing at my enemies. Oh, have I read that note down there? Better safe than sorry. Yes, I've read this.
Right, who wants to die first? There was something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time. The stone hadn't lied about what it could do for him. With each raven he cut down, he felt a jolt of power flowing into his arm. "You're weak," whispered the stone.
Almost there.
Are you afraid of it? No, don't be ridiculous. It chuckled. But it isn't stable. It will poison you so much as carry it. And if you try to use it, it will explode catastrophically. Renato did not trust rocks that talked in his head. He went onwards. As he approached the core, the stone became hysterical. He had defeated the demonic gem with the power of his mind. He felt invincible. It was time to attack the Imperial outpost on the Nexus. Take the battle to the enemy. But among the huge crystals, there was also an observatory. A wise man would probably ask the scientists exactly what he had.
Alright,
first.
go talk with the frogs before they go
How wise was
betraying
he?
me.
As the
So
Farfarer
everybody
made its way
loves
toward the Nexus,
double-crossing Renardo.
Renato watched sparks fly out of the core. See? He'd trusted his gut, and it had worked out. That's what it meant to be a hero. To ignore the naysayers and the odd-makers, and do what you knew was right, and have it turn out to be the right thing. Well, he wasn't worried. Once he got to the observatory, the scientist toads could explain it. Then he could carry the war into the enemy's camp and destroy them all. Oh dear, he was getting a little bloodthirsty, wasn't he?
Is this the right way to go? Does this shorten my path? I don't know. across that. It's a shame, because it's exactly where I need to be.
Renato had never felt better in his life. Normally, a battle would wear him down and he would need a night's sleep. Now he felt like he could go all night and all day. He felt like people were cheering him on, and he could practically hear their applause as he slew one raven after another. The Iblis
Sky
Stone
Ripper's got a very
and the
obvious
Sky
effect.
Ripper,
I wonder what the Iblis
two
Stone's
artifacts from the time of legends.
ability
Renato was
actually
becoming a legendary hero, wasn't he?
involves, because I
He
do
had enough
see
power
a
to save
glowing
the
aura
rebellion,
on
But
Renardo
he
while
had to
he's
understand his power, so he would not misuse
in
it.
possession of the thing.
Already, Renato knew more than he ever had. But about what? The toads at the observatory measured the stone with their occult devices. I fed it the core of Sky Ripper, explained Renato.
The stone doesn't actually feed on souls,
Claimed the third.
but on pain of killing another sentient being. If you can truly be at peace with yourself, it would not overload.
This was all very confusing. At peace. Yes, the mountains were peaceful and quiet, but he now had the power to turn the tides. He should report to the Rebellion Council and prepare for the decisive battle.
There's too much work to be done. We can go on vacation later.
The one thing he understood from all the Toad arguments, maybe the stone did not feed on blood or souls or rage. It fed on empathy. It fed on the pain he felt when he put an end to another being's existence. Even if that other being was a raven intent on killing him, if he could find peace,
You know, still feels bad,
then
man.
he could use the power of the Iblis Stone without being taken over by its evil. Yes, that was the way to defeat the Iblis Stone. The mountains. He would go to the mountains. He could find peace there.
So then everybody will just bring the fight to me.
Unfortunately, the mountains were not empty. There were ravens everywhere. No matter. He had to fight, yes, but he didn't have to be angry. Parry, dodge, slash, and breathe. Yes, focus on the rhythm, the dance of it, not on the blood or the raven's core as they died. Ah, it was working. He wasn't feeling those dark jolts of eldritch energy. He
Oh
wasn't
god, those
feeling the Iblis
explosions.
Stone.
This way. The basic path.
Didn't I just kill your brother?
Well, at least something's doing damage.
The stone was still silent. His mind was his own, and his heart too. He bore them no ill will, these ravens. They were doing their job. They were expressing their nature. Dance, whirl, parry, jab, and breathe. It was all so simple, wasn't it? Something was missing. He didn't feel truly at peace. Wait. Wasn't this near
Maybe a nice cup of
Calaveras
chamomile
lived?
tea.
The sage would help him figure it all out.
Climb to the peak, find solitude.
What was the point of this gate? Did you think no one would note the Iblis Stone, silenced by the Sky Ripper's gore, had given Renato enough power to challenge the Imperial fleet? But what Renato was seeking was inner peace. The rebellion was on the verge of extinction, but it would have to
Take
wait.
damage on hooked enemies. Not gonna be doing that really. Mashing through enemies deals damage. You can eventually dash through shielded enemies. Ooh, faster combos. And increases the range at which I can continue a combo. Also cool.
At the end of the mountain path, he found the wise Calaveras in his workshop. Do you fix souls or only artifacts? He asked the sage.
Does your soul need fixing?
Asked the sage. I've been killing a lot of ravens lately, he told the sage.
You're a fox,
Said Calaveras.
and to kill birds is part of your nature. Take joy in it. I mean, I might as well worry about eating flies. Would you like a fly?
It was true. That's what he had forgotten. The joy. Now he was ready for the final battle.
I'm gonna feed this thing
Farfara cut
a
through
different kind of
the
emotion now.
The air had never felt so sweet since he was a child. There it was.
Iblis Stone
The
goes
dread
from malice to
Imperial
just
fleet.
pure
It was wet hemp rope
childlike
sand,
innocence,
wood and tar,
which
and ravens.
can also be cruelty.
The fleet smelled good somehow. He was ready. He was ready. Renato had it all squared away in his head. He would kill the Emperor. Isengrim III had begun well, but he had gone mad. He was trying to invoke the lost gods by means of dark, blasphemous rituals. That was a secret. But the victims had spoken to Renato. The ghosts had spoken. No. No anger. Renato could not afford anger. It was empowering the crystal in his sword. That made him stronger. It clouded his mind. He would not be a hero. A hero strives. Renato would just be one with everything. The Emperor would die, and the wheel would turn, and all would be restored without rancor,
I'm not taking this one
without
yet either.
sorrow, without pain.
Oh, because I can't.
thought about it, and he had so much more time to think about it now that he was not worrying about that.
Ow.
Killing the Emperor would not change anything. Another would take his place. Perhaps Zenobia. Perhaps the Speaker of the Rebel Council, and power would corrupt them too, and death would make grief. Grief would lead to hatred. He must lead by example. Reject the violence. Reject the desire to create violence. But how?
We shall lead. Or we shall lead everyone into death, where no one can be hurt. 'Tis truly the great equalizer.
Soon he'd confront the Emperor. Funny that this whole war had come about because the Emperor feared death. And now it was coming for him. There was some sort of lesson there, wasn't there? Finally, he came to the Emperor's ship. The path behind him was strewn with dead ravens. The path to enlightenment. His mistake, he realized, was trying to change the world. The world would spin and the wheel would revolve whether he strove against it or not.
One
What
man
he had
cannot
to
change,
do
or one fox
was
cannot
nothing.
change the world.
He had attained enlightenment. He sat down, adopted a full lotus position, and began to meditate. And all around him, the warriors stopped fighting too. They knew. They could feel his enlightenment. They gave up fighting, dropped their weapons, and became his disciples. No, just kidding. The nearest raven stabbed him with a sword and then chopped off his head.
Oh.
I might not have thought this through properly. Thought Renato's head as it rolled around the deck and died.
You opened your eyes a little too much and ended up closing them again while everybody was sharpening their swords. A hero who transcends being a hero to become one with everything. Moving along. God, making good progress. Hour in and we're already 2 routes done. I am skipping all the fluff.
The clouds parted.
Or as
the
much
clouds
as
of
the
warriors.
game will allow me to.
It was time to
I have to just run through
choose.
this sequence every time.
The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer.
For a game that's supposed to have good replay value, it's
Renata knew that using it could
not
go
all that
catastrophically
friendly in terms of
wrong. He was sure he could figure out how to use it safely.
repeat
Also,
content.
A temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it. To take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. And he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage.
Stone, stone, stone!
The island was windswept desert. Every child could sing verses about the Sky Ripper, but ancient codices held hints of other things. A stone that ate souls, a ruby that drank blood, a jewel only a righteous man could give away. Were all these things the Iblis stone? long hidden in a buried temple. Another ancient item that was only resurfacing now. Drawn up from the deeps by the Emperor's horrific rituals. Ravens were already here, cawing in frustration. They were still searching for a way in. Good. And he hadn't come too late. Renata felt restless. Maybe he could focus all that energy into something useful.
What the heck? Freaking Skyripper is
Do we have to stop?
just like pinging those things, then letting me run into them. I wonder how many of those notes I've missed along the way.
When I build my castle,
Maybe I'll look
thought
that up for next
all
time.
my gates are going to open with buttons, and all the levers will drop rocks at your head. The Ravens at least could not get past this point. Obviously, the temple builders knew how to deal with tomb raiders. It was a stone of the purest blackness. It reflected no light, like a void. It was the stone, eager, thirsty.
Sorry, I'm pretty sure I gotta consume you one more time.
That seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch. But they had been close once, and he had a sneaking suspicion the gem would try to control him. Why not capture the core of Skyripper instead? It was the eye
Or,
of the lost god, torn out by the transcendent
I went to go talk to
Emperor
the
power their
frogs.
greatest weapon.
And I
Set the stone
meditated, and
anxiously.
that led me on a singular path. I can't actually remember if there was a decision past that one.
But
I can
even
go
though
check.
Renato knew how evil the gem was, he had a clever plan for dealing with it.
No, go meditate was the last thing I did. Alright, go find the core once more.
The stone bothered him. The moment he landed the Farfarer, Renato had a rare feeling
Go
of
speak with the
regret.
frogs
It's
and
not too late,
then
he
just
thought.
continue
He'd
forward.
turn around and sail for Zenobia's island. He frowned. Wait a minute. He didn't want to kill Zenobia, did he? Sure, technically she was the enemy, but they'd been at Sword Food School together. They'd never been lovers, but somehow they'd been closer. She'd told him every secret about herself. Except the biggest one. There was something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time. Renato had once read a story where a rabbit went into a portal with a fly and came out with a fly's head. It creeped him out to even think about it. The stone hadn't lied about what it could do for him. With each raven he cut down, he felt a jolt of power flowing into his arm. "You're weak," whispered the stone. "The core will kill you." "Are you afraid of it?"
Don't be ridiculous. It chuckled. But it is unstable. It's poisonous. I just carry it. And if you try to use it, it will explode catastrophically.
Renato did not trust rocks that talked in his head. He went onwards. As he approached,
Moving along at a pretty quick pace here.
the stone became hysterical. He had defeated the demonic gem with the power of his mind. He felt invincible. It was time to attack the Imperial outpost.
Let's go
in the
confirm.
Nexus.
Do I go
Take
attack the
battle to the enemy.
ravens
But among the huge
and then have
crystals, there was
one more
also
decision after
uncertainty.
that, or is that the end of that
A
line?
wise man would probably ask the scientists exactly what he had first. How wise was he?
Attack the outpost and then meet the council leads to that end? I guess I can go do that one. Attack the outpost and then don't meet with council.
As
Okay, so 2 more routes this way.
the Nexus was infested with ravens, but that didn't bother Renato. With each death, the converted Iblis stone in his gauntlets glowed brighter, and he felt stronger. Wow. He was getting a bit bloodthirsty, wasn't he? Well, he wasn't worried. He was a warrior. They're supposed to be bloodthirsty.
Can you blame him? It's in his nature. Baked into his DNA.
The core, absorbed in the stone, was doing its job perfectly. Renato could feel a little eldritch jolt every time he downed a raven, but then it flowed into the glowing stone the way water flows down a riverbed. It all felt perfectly natural, as if all his life, this was what he had been meant to do. Renato tore through the last remaining guards at the outpost like hot coffee through snow. There was a far speaker toad here. He called, and she was. She wanted him to come back to base. They had plans to discuss, and a medal to give him. A large, golden medal. Great, said Renato. Let's talk about who else I can kill. Then the far speaker croaked again.
Hello, Renato.
It said,
If you get sick of slaughtering
Go
second
chase
victims
Zenobia,
in the
all right.
Nexus, I'm waiting for you in the mountains.
Zenobia. She missed him. She loved him. Once she saw how awesome he'd become, maybe she'd join him. They'd kiss and... Well, if she did refuse for some reason, he was no match for him now.
Riz her up.
Zenobia was taunting him. No doubt she hoped to lure him into a trap, but it didn't matter, did it? He could fight his way out of any trap. He was invincible.
You're a fight
This was
machine.
gonna be fun. So where was this ambush? Renato couldn't wait. At Sword Fu school, she'd always studied a little harder, practiced a little longer, complained really a lot less. And then she'd become a sorceress. He'd always known he'd have to take her by surprise or not at all. But this would be a surprise indeed.
Fights are resolving real quick. Getting the perfect bonus is helping me level up faster, although I've got a long way to go yet.
The mountain paths were infested with ravens. That was swell. Every time he cut one down, the stone glowed a little brighter. In fact, everything glowed a little brighter. How white the snow was, and how very blue the raven blood was. Seriously, where was she? He wanted to try his new strength against hers.
Zenobia, you see my cool moves? Right, that's where I need to go.
Caught the ravens. Renato felt antsy. He'd found a source of great power. But instead of joining with the rebels, he was on a fool's errand the Emperor's daughter had sent him on. The rebels were preparing a last-ditch attack against the Imperial fleet, counting on Renato to show up in time. At the end of the path was Zenobia. I thought you were going to ambush me, he said, a little put out. I owe you better than that. I know how you feel about me, love. You want to join up with me, don't you? You got to admit, we'd make a great team. Of all the arrogant, ham-handed, half-assed, half-witted... Oh, come on. What else are you here for? That, she said, as a dropship poured a bucket of green liquid on his head.
Oh.
Drowsy gas. You can't stop me with drowsy gas, Zenobia. My power's too strong. Zenobia? Where was she? When he awoke, he was staring up at the sky. Zenobia looked down at him, frowning. I probably ought to kill you, but that'd be a bit tawdry, wouldn't it? She was tossing the glowing stone from paw to paw. This is pretty.
Zenobia!
He shouted, and then he fell back into sleep. On the Farfarer, Renato drank his favorite headache remedy. But it did no good. Zenobia had beaten him again.
With underhanded tricks, just like everybody else.
You really should have listened to the Iblis Stone in the first place instead of messing around with the core. He had a bad feeling about the upcoming fight. But what kind of hero misses the final battle?
I got no weapon. I got no allies.
Renato was bruised and tired.
Well, that's not
Wasn't
entirely
looking
true.
forward to
I do
killing
have
ravens.
weapons.
Didn't even seem scary. It felt like a chore, like sweeping the practice room at sword food school, which he'd done his best to leave for Zenobia whenever he could. What would she do with the glowing Iblis stone? That should terrify him, shouldn't it? But he just felt dumb and stupid as he carved his way towards probable doom.
Interrupted story time. Go on to lead, Raven. Now we'll never find out how it ended.
It was all so
Dash, please.
unfair. He'd wanted to protect himself, protect the world from the Iblisstone's hunger for blood and souls. And all he'd done is get mugged. Next time he owned a supernatural artifact that wanted tribute, he'd serve it champagne and caviar.
Kill the fox. Go on to ravens. At least I do original.
God, we are just tearing through this now.
Zenobia was cleaning blood off her sword and weeping. It's so hungry. I can't stop killing, she said. But I fed it the core of the Sky Ripper, and now it's hungry again. She wept. It was true. The Iblis stone was black again. A void that seemed to suck all the light out of the sky. Take it from me, Renato. While you still can. Okay. I'll take it, he said. Yes, he thought. This is what it means to be a hero. To save the soul of even his old enemy when it looked like all was lost. He stepped forward to accept the sword from her outstretched hand. She flipped the sword, and the blade went into his gut. As the Iblis stone sucked his soul into its infinite darkness, he could vaguely hear a voice, something like Zenobia's chuckle.
Yeah, she makes a much better vessel than that frog. Ah, damn. A hero who fights until the end, even when he is humiliated. Okay, those paths are done. I guess there are 2 paths with, killing Zenobia that I haven't done. Off that way now.
The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble, Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renato knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong. But he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact.
Those are the ones I haven't done yet, right?
It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it. To take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. And he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage.
Let's take a look here. Find the gem, find the core. 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 Okay, so these ones are all linked off of finding the gem and core. So... at the very least, my first option should still be to find the gem if I want to be on this third route.
The island. Every child could sing verses.
Was it just
about the Sky
immediately
Ripper,
go kill Zenobia?
but ancient codices held hints of
Yeah, because I
other
go to
things.
find the core
Stone
and
that
the
ate souls.
gems not all
Ruby
into
that
that.
drank blood. A jewel
Rather, I
only
just
a
go on a
righteous
killing
man
spree.
could give away. Were all these things the Iblis stone?
Weird, I thought I'd already gone on a killing
Long
spree.
hidden
Was that
in the
maybe
buried temple. Another ancient item that was only
after
resurfacing now.
the
Drawn
matter?
up from the deeps by the Emperor's horrific rituals.
Just toss him.
The Ravens were already here, cawing in frustration. They were still searching for a
Sky
way.
islands and bottomless floors to temples make for really... okay, just some lighting there. Really good death zones. There's a lot of guides there. Felt like more than usual.
You couldn't hack this kind of firewall. You had to warm it up to you. There had to be some way to use the Iblis stone. It was old, wasn't it? People are so much cleverer now. Renato was pretty sure he was cleverer than most people.
Oh, is that a new level?
The Ravens at least could
Mm,
not
it
get past
is.
this point. Obviously, the temple builders knew how
Continuing
to deal
along.
with Tomb Raiders. You can't really reason with an energy ball, he thought. It was a stone of the purest blackness. It reflected no light, like a void made.
And
was a
blood you shall
stone.
have.
Eager, thirsty. That seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch. But they had been
Come on,
close
man, we've
once,
already resorted to
and
all
he
the
had a
evil.
sneaking suspicion the gem would try to control him. Why not capture the core of Sky
And for a penny.
instead? It was the eye of a lost god torn out by the transcendent Emperor to power his greatest weapon. What's the core? Said the stone anxiously. But even though Renato knew how evil the gem was, he had a clever plan for dealing with it. Why was he listening to a talking rock? Ah, but the rock had a point. If the stone could truly turn him into a powerful warrior, he could defeat the Emperor with the very weapon the wicked old toad had sought for himself. To be a hero, you had to sacrifice old friends sometimes. Especially when they've become enemies.
Yeah, Lapino's a great example of that.
As he placed
Don't
the
let love
impossibly black
influence it.
crystal in his gauntlet, Renato had a sudden vision. Charred fields covered in dead ravens below a black sun. Was it the time of the lost gods before the transcendent Emperor? Was it the future? Feed these souls, it whispered. Take the power. He could feel the stone's hunger for souls. Its thirst for blood. All right, I get it. This was going to be interesting.
Not the right way. No, not at all.
The city was burning, and there was no one to put out the fires. If somehow Zenobia survived her father and inherited his crown, what sort of empire would she be heir to? But he couldn't think about that, could he? The ravens on Zenobia's island were no match for Renato. They screamed as the stones sucked out their souls. And with each death, he felt stronger. Take the power, the stone told him.
Is this the way to go? Maybe.
This couldn't be good for global warming.
Or not.
He couldn't do worse with Zenobia than he'd done with the core, could he?
Oh, I think I've done this before.
These things could really use a hand.
And there she
Zenobia
is.
was waiting for Renato. She was alone, confident as always. Fire danced at the tips of her claws.
Are you here to surrender?
She seemed as cocksure as he felt. But she didn't know he had the stone.
How'd you get that
And
so
I've missed
fast?
you too,
I've
love.
had some practice.
He chuckled. She spotted the stone and bolted without another word.
Zenobia. I'm coming for you. Ooh, nowhere to run.
Finally, Renato caught up to her. He had never seen her scared before. At school, she'd been the determined, brave one. Now her eyes were wide, frightened. He didn't like seeing her this way.
Hey there, Ludlow.
With the
Yep,
stone.
we're still working on our way through all the endings. It's going about a much faster clip,
Zenobia.
but there's a
Not
lot to
that
do.
way. Oh, they had been
How you
so
doing?
close once. Could he really feed her soul to his demonic gem? But if he spared her, he would not get the full power of the stone. Oh, how could he be the hero he wanted to be?
Feed her to the stone, the yellow stone. It promised great power in exchange for the blood of Zenobia. Isn't it why we came here? Killing Zenobia would give him the power to take the fight to the enemy.
With a flick of his wrist, he slashed Zenobia's throat. Her eyes widened
Well, that's
even more.
good and bad.
Went out of them. Renato felt amazing.
Here's hoping you get better soon, but at least you've been able to take some time off, right?
Exalted the Iblis stone.
Soaking in lots of media.
He felt a bit bad about killing her. He was pretty sure she still loved him. But needs must when the devil drives. Renato returns to the Farfarer and set a course for the Nexus. The Empire had a communication outpost there. He could call the Emperor directly. It was time to
I've
seize
killed your
the
daughter. Surrender.
and let the Emperor know what he had done. The Nexus was beautiful. He'd never realized how beautiful. Everything glowed. The wind was so sweet. The sun so soft. The stone so warm. Black raven feathers. Black feathers. Suddenly, his eyes are filled with them. He's falling through smoke under a dead sun. A voice calls him home. Is this a vision? Whose? Is this the time of the lost gods? Or the future? No matter. What mattered now was killing his way to the Imperial outpost and challenging the Emperor from there. Up ahead was Lapino.
Hey, bro.
Bernardo!
Just in time, I was feeling a bit
Hey,
peckish.
there, old buddy. Please don't kill me. Why would I kill you? Asked Bernardo, although he had been thinking about it. Well, you've become... look, I mean, no disrespect at all here. Kind of evil?
I thought that was your jam.
Yeah, you should, I don't know, go to the mountains to have a think? See if maybe you're sure the stone is not all that healthy a thing to keep? I suppose you wanted, Bernardo said, and poked Lapino in the chest for emphasis. Oh, had he just killed
Oops.
Lapino?
Poked him just a little too hard there. Yeah! Serves him right.
He'd go to the outpost, use their far speaker, tell the Emperor what he'd done, and then he'd go to the secret rebel base, let them know he was ready to lead them to victory.
What's in my way?
Renato rampaged to the Imperial outpost like a water buffalo rampaging. At the last moment,
Cut through it like snow through coffee.
after all, he wanted a word with the Emperor. But there was only silence. The Emperor was scared, like little girl. Well, he would gather the rebel army and slaughter the Imperial fleet. applauded the Iblistone. Tremendous. Then the Emperor would have to answer his far speaker, wouldn't he? Who are you? Asked a distant voice that sounded uncomfortably like Zenobia. What have you become? The mountains. Go to the mountains, urged another that sounded a bit like Lapino.
Listen to the distant voices? Renato has become an amazing warrior, all thanks to the Iblis Stone. But then there were these distant voices. Maybe you should go to the Maybe you should listen to the voices and go to the mountains. Or it's time to fight. Voices or no voices, he had a job to do. A rebellion to lead. A war to win. Yes, he had to go to the rebel base and rally everyone. Gilbert's full evil.
Renato called the rebel council to let them know to gather their forces. Then he killed the far speaker Toad. Why? Well, because to make sure his sword was sharp.
Gotta wet the blade.
So no one else could use it. Yes, that's it. Then he set off for the ruins and the
Great
secret rebel
equalizer.
base.
Death shall make equals of us all.
The ruins were crawling with ravens. Probably looking for the secret base, Renato thought. But then he realized they're probably looking for me. They must be very scared of me. Well, here I am. Honest warrior, never. Whispered the Iblistone. And he had to agree with it, for once. Who was as good as Renato?
Certainly nobody living, that's for sure.
Renato was so happy. The stone was the best friend he'd ever had. Really, very
Oh shit, Renard, do you get that new pet rock?
soon, he'd go rally the rebellion and usher a new age for... You are the best, urged the stone.
Ugh.
Let me make you emperor. Come to think of it, Renato thought as he put down another raven, why shouldn't I be emperor? How did anybody get to be emperor anyway? By making war. I mean, not counting the transcendent emperor, obviously, who had banished the lost gods and started time. Yes.
Activate.
He should be emperor. He would make a great emperor. Right, Stone? Oh, right, boss.
Stone's making a lot of sense. Sounds like it'd be a pretty good seneschal.
Renato strode into the council.
And there aren't exactly a
Let's
lot
do
of other
this thing. Let's make me
qualified people to take that
They
position.
looked confused and nervous. Had he mentioned the Emperor thing? He meant to bring that up later. I mean, let's go win this rebellion! He waved his sword around encouragingly. They ran.
Killing only one or two of the frogs along the way.
He'd stop them. He cut down a few to inspire the others. But soon, there was no one to cut down. Well then, he'd have to attack the fleet alone. More for me, he said. Unless it was the stone that said it. Traitors. Traitors, all of them. They'd run rather than following him, rather than cheering him. What should he do to the cowards? Anything he wanted to. After all, he was a true hero, the best warrior there ever was. No one could stop him now. But first, finish him. The Emperor, that is.
Is that stone looking a little
Where was the
bigger,
rebel fleet?
maybe?
They weren't even trying an assault. They were going to miss a day in history. downfall of this dynasty, and a new one to take its place. He didn't have to kill all the ravens. He could enslave them, and enslave the toads too. All the animals would worship him as a god. He'd want to be the god, willingly give them their blood and their souls. And the world would change, would become familiar again.
Oh, you got such delicious looking eyeballs.
Corn to Lee Raven.
Thank you. I think. It never hurts to be polite.
I swear, some of these inputs are just like super delayed. Just like zap over to that thing, right? Where's my attack?
Was glowing with dark power. Already the sun had dimmed. He could do anything he realized. He could wrap the island safely in smoke again. He was beyond a hero. He was going to become a god again. How odd, he thought, that the Iblis Stone had nothing to say about any of this. Well, no matter. Once he killed this petty Toad Emperor, he would bring back the Black Sun.
See you. You're a little stuck behind something.
Soon he'd
Getting
confront
caught
the
in all
Emperor
this stuff here.
again. This time, he'd make an end of him. He'd screwed up last time, but he had a good feeling about this time. He found the Emperor and the Council huddling by his ship, plotting. They saw him and cowered before him.
Back to hell, fiend.
Croaked the Emperor desperately.
In the name of the Transcendent Emperor!
Croaked the speaker. They held some arcane items he didn't recognize. He simply flexed his will and sucked their souls out of their bodies.
It's no Sky Ripper.
And Iblis exulted. It is finished. And the void that had been a mere stone on a sword expanded. It stretched and ripped like a vast womb. And a gaze black and pitiless as the sun passed through the void into the land. And so time ended.
Back to the dock. Alright, one more route to go on this path. A hero who fully embraces power, who transcends being a hero, who dares to become a god. Play it again, Sam.
The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game
Glad we're
changer.
finally picking up the pace,
Pieces of
though.
The Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renata knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong. But he was sure
Well,
he
I
could
imagine
figure
it's
out
still going to
how
be a
use
few
it safely.
sessions before
Also,
we're done
a
with
temple
this.
had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it. To take its power without surrendering to its wickedness.
Well, there's one possibility. You can listen to
His
the
old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course,
voice of Lapino.
Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. And he had a gut feeling.
Meditating
that he
feels like
needed
it's going to be a
use that
moot
to his
point without
advantage.
the Skyripper's core to quell it,
The
though.
island. Every child could sing verses about the Sky Ripper, but ancient codices held hints of other things. A stone that ate souls, a ruby that drank blood, a jewel only a righteous man could give away. Were all these things the Iblis stone? Long hidden in a buried temple. Another ancient item that was only resurfacing now. Drawn up from the deeps by the Emperor's horrific rituals. I never felt bad for littering. But these islands are short on trash cans.
Wasn't enough to toss that guy off. I had to execute him as
Cawing in
well.
frustration. They were still searching for a way in. Good. And he hadn't come too late.
Once more. Now I can get instant kills on combo threshold 30. That doesn't seem like it's going to happen, especially at the rate that I'm going now. Maybe the dash through? No, throw distance. That's the one we're working to now.
Haven't you heard? Goth is over.
God, there's so many of you here.
There had to be some way to use the Iblis stone. It was old, wasn't it? People are so much cleverer now. And Renato was pretty sure he was cleverer than it. The Ravens at least could not get past this point. Obviously, the temple builders knew how to deal with tomb raiders. It was a stone of the purest blackness. It reflected no light, like a void made. It was the stone, eager.
And blood you shall have.
That seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch. But they had been close once, and he had a sneaking suspicion the gem would try to control him. Why not capture the core of Sky Ripper instead? It was the eye of a lost god, torn out by the transcendent emperor to power his greatest weapon. To the core, said the stone anxiously. But even though Renato knew how evil the gem was, he had a clever plan for dealing with it.
Feed.
Why was he listening to a talk?
Consume.
As he placed the impossibly black
Grow
crystal
fat
in his
and
gauntlet,
powerful.
Renato had a sudden vision. Charred fields covered in dead ravens below a black sun. Was it the time of the lost gods before the transcendent emperor? Was it the future? Feed souls, it whispered. Take the power. He could feel the stone's hunger for souls, its thirst for blood.
All right, I get it.
This was going to be interesting. This was the nice part of town, but the ravens had been through here. They like to take shiny things home to their nests. The ravens on Zenobia's island were no match for Renato. They screamed as the stones sucked out their souls, and with each death,
Is there something I'm doing besides dashing that's consuming stamina?
the stone told him. Hero wall, hero sword, firewall, fire. He couldn't do worse with
Pass.
Zenobia than he'd done with the core, could he?
What was over here? Because I don't think I've ever gone this way before. At least, not while the world is in the state that it is. Oh, wait, maybe I have.
Hey, why don't you guys fight in groups? Oh, I know. Because there's no I in team.
Okay, get us to
Zenobia
the same
was
spot,
waiting
just
for it.
more roundabout.
Finally, Renato caught up to her. He had never seen her scared before.
Later, Zenobia.
At school, she'd been the determined, brave one. Please. No, said Zenobia. Not that way. Oh, they had been so close once. Could he really feed her soul to his demonic gem? But if he spared her, he would not get the full power of the stone. Oh, how could he be the hero he wanted to be?
By killing droves more ravens.
With a flick of his
They're
wrist.
expendable. Ah, but this is quick and easy.
The Nexus was beautiful.
I want the power
I
now!
never realized how beautiful. Everything glowed. The wind was so sweet. The sun so soft. The stones so warm. Black raven feathers. Black feathers. Suddenly, his eyes are filled with them. He's falling through smoke under a dead sun. A voice calls him home. Is this a vision? Whose? Is this the time of the lost gods? Or the future? No matter. What mattered now was killing his way to the Imperial outpost and challenging the Emperor from there. said was Lapino.
Starting to get pretty good at memorizing these level layouts. Oh, bye, Lupino.
He'd go to the outpost, use their far speaker, tell the Emperor what he'd done, and then he'd go to the secret rebel base. Let them know he was ready, leap into victory.
Hey there, homie. How's it going?
Renato rampaged to the Imperial
Nice
outpost.
day in Calgary? Yeah, actually, it was kind of a mix. We had a
He remembered not to kill the far
partly cloudy day and then a pretty hard squall of hail. But that lasted a very short time. You know how Alberta weather is, just super erratic.
Well, he would gather the rebel army and slaughter the Imperial fleet.
It's been calling for rain all week. I want a nice sunny day so I can let my bedspread just
Then the Emperor
soak
would
in
have
the
to
sun.
answer his far speaker, wouldn't he? Who are you? Asked a distant voice that sounded uncomfortably like Zenobia. What have you become? The mountains. Go to the mountains, urged another that sounded a bit like Lapino.
I got a pretty hard storm up there.
What are you doing? Demanded the Iblistone. I need to think, Renato told it.
Hold on. I committed a little too much genocide. I need to sit down and think about this.
But he set sail for the mountains, where he alone with his thoughts.
Oh, you're never alone with the Iblistone.
Why were there Raven Scouts here in the empty mountains? Was there nowhere he could find peace and quiet? There were other
Oh,
ravens
this is
here
different.
too. Shadowy
And
ones,
see their
transparent,
spirits
lining the
looming
path.
about.
Ghosts. They cawed as he passed, but they didn't try to stop him. Spectators. Had he really killed that many ravens?
Yeah, probably.
Now you. Then he saw her. Zenobia. She was a ghost too. She ran off when she saw him. How could a ghost be afraid? He followed her. He had to.
Pretty crazy at the workplace, eh? Where does this one lead me? Still forward? Please. Well, now I finally know what that's about.
Renato followed Zenobia's ghost. Had he gone mad, seeing ghosts? Was she running from him or leading him somewhere? He'd come here to be alone, but he'd never been less alone in his life. Every raven he had slain haunted these rocks. Was this who he was? A killer. He was terribly good at killing. He was an adventurer. Or was that just another word for killer?
That's a fair bit of caffeine. Getting the coffee sweats yet? No, not this way. Damn it. I'm faster than you.
He tried to focus on the job he had to do. The rebellion. Wasn't there a battle coming soon? There'd be ravens to kill. Even an emperor. Such killing. Much wow. Ooh, At the end of the mountain path, Zenobia
Oh
awaited.
God.
Why did you kill me? She said. I was your prisoner, and I loved you. I needed the power, he said. Haven't you heard? There's a war on.
Then what's your excuse for killing me?
Asked his old friend.
Oh, what's this meme
Stepping out of
route?
the shadows. Because the filthy traitor? Said Renato. But once, Lapino didn't reply. The demon has twisted you, said Zenobia. Abandon the stone. You've lost too much already. Her words bit deeper.
They
than
might be
any
putting too
sword
much
ever
stock in
had.
that. It's probably coincidence.
So he shook his head, and once again swung his blade through her and Lapino. It had to all mean
Ooh,
something.
double
If
XP.
he gave
I
up
can
the
kill their
stone now,
ghosts for
he
even
would have
more
sacrificed
soul
Zenobia
energy.
and Lapino for nothing. So Renato set course for the Imperial fleet, where he would end it all. The Emperor, the war, the madness. Renato boarded an Imperial ship. No one could stop him slashing his way towards the Emperor. Yes,
So this seems like it's going
that
to be
was right.
fairly similar to the last one. Am I going to have a ghost army usurp me at the last moment?
And he
Or
could give
haunt
up the
me the
stone
rest
in
of my
peace.
days?
And those were absolutely his own thoughts. Not the stone manipulated, right? Exalted the stone. You could hear a tiny voice within him. Was it madness? I have to kill the Emperor, he told himself. That's what it meant to be a hero. To do what had to be done, no matter how terrible the cost. Promise the stone.
And there he goes.
Good! And it didn't look for me nest, said the lead raven. The tiny voice, whatever it was silent. He couldn't see ghosts around him, but he could feel them. If he gave up now, they would be angry. They would have all died for nothing. Who could give up this kind of power? Could anyone? Oh, he was just a fox with a talent for swordplay. How had this burden come to him? Offered the sword. Yes. Peace. That is what he wanted now.
Oh, we're getting a pretty bit more grim with this one. That's what we get for hesitating, I suppose.
Soon he'd confront the Emperor. Funny that this whole war had come about because the Emperor feared death. And now it was coming for him. There was some sort of lesson there, wasn't there? The Emperor was cowering in front of his ship.
No, please don't kill me.
Croaked Emperor Isengrim III.
Here, take the crown. I don't want it anymore.
Oh, I don't want it either.
Please, have mercy. The rebellion is won. Or you could be emperor. I'll just go be a scientist, or minstrel, or sell gummy bears. Yeah, I promise not to bother you.
Kind of an inferior suite. We should deal with him.
Love he'd ever had for Zenobia, for Lupino, for the kit foxes he would never have. Renato raised his sword. And Renato plunged his sword into his own chest.
Oh.
Wait. What? Renato screamed as his life force ebbed into the stone and surged back into him and ebbed out
Did we just
and surged
infinite
back in.
loop ourselves here?
Screamed the stone. It began to heat up. What have you done? The stone began to glow. It became white hot. It became lava. Nice knowing you, said Renato, as the lava ran.
Well, that's satisfactory end, I suppose. Emperor's defeated. Everybody's dead, but the world's still spinning. A hero who does what needs to be done, no matter the cost. Yeah, all done with the Iblis Stone. I don't have to pick that shit up anymore. Got quite a few rats left, though. That's what, 6 rats I've done today? I can get 1 more, maybe 2 more done.
The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced.
Big stretch.
Renato knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong. But he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis Stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it. To take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lupino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lupino had betrayed the rebellion. And he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage.
Okay, so this is the next long one, this line here. Find the armature. So just follow up on that. Oh no, find the armature, find the core. Find the armature, find the core. Meet the scientists? For some reason, I doubt that there are that many branching paths off of the third option. Okay, well... Iblis Stone is definitely just completely done now. Can forget that one. Find the gem, find Zenobia, spare Zenobia, throw gem. Rescue Lupino. Armature core scientists. Armature Core Outpost. Okay, well, Armature Core Scientists will at least get me something. So I guess I can go that way.
Every child. As he set foot on the island, Bernardo couldn't help feeling a bit curious. Was Lapino still waiting to be rescued? No. He was probably drinking champagne with the ravens. Did ravens drink champagne? Did rabbits? Bernardo felt oddly thirsty, come to think of it. Why the Sky Ripper was along... Hey, how do you tell if someone's far away, but it's really small? The people who had
Fuck
built
it.
this castle, did they even
We can
know
take the
the
hit.
monstrous weapon lay hidden within their walls? The Sky Ripper could destroy anything it touched, or so the legend said. As the Transcendent Emperor had fought the lost gods, thousands had died.
Right,
But
more
Bernardo
throw
had been through
distance.
wars. The only merciful war was a short one.
I don't think I've gone over here before. Although, I don't see any other routes, so maybe I'm wrong about that. Yeah. I took these at any opportunity that I could. I'm not sure if I did that one, though. I would have needed the second sword. Probably not. Any more scrolls for me to read?
Kill the rebel! Caught one, Raven. Eat the rebel! Caught another.
Nope, just bonus. But have I opened that one? Maybe. Better safe than sorry. Looks like I can backtrack
Bernardo
from
was
it,
looking
though.
for a big chest. Wait, that didn't sound right.
Yeah, just a bunch of meaningless treasure. Ow. Okay, I'm in a bit of danger now.
Well, the eyes have had it.
And we're fine.
Renato chuckled. It was the same puzzle. He wished he had his friends here, so he could amaze them.
Oh, I feel like I should be able to reach that. Oh, I probably could if I just rotate this. That's over here. Treasure? How boring. And nothing over here. And this was a dead end that just had some more treasure. That's what I'm looking for.
There it was. Sky Ripper's armature. The stuff that dreams are made of. Engineers treat. How is it part of a weapon at all? He'd have to ask a scientist. But first, he'd get the second piece. Sky Ripper had a heart. A core that had come to rest on the next island. Well, there was another island he could reach. Zenobia had just invaded it.
There is
with
an
her
alternate
father's
route I
Raven
haven't taken here.
battalions.
Well, that one's pretty
She must be
obvious.
encamped there still. But fighting Zenobia now, that made no sense at all.
Yeah, what the hell am I gonna do with a frame and no core?
Armature, was it? He didn't need to
Probably
hurry
find that
to
out next
face her.
time.
She would find him. It was a no-brainer.
Bye, Lupino.
He looked up at the old trees around him. They were so big and so
Ah, he's
old.
fine.
They'd been there before he was born, and they'd be there after he'd passed into legend. Was he confronting his own unimportance? What had got into him? He was no philosopher. Anyway, who cares?
What? Oh,
he was
shit.
plenty important. He was a hero.
I'm
and
looping.
soon he'd prove it.
There's the way forward.
There was something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time. Did portals go through another universe? If so, could the lost god...
Boo, puns.
The thought made him shiver. There were fewer and fewer trees. There were only these huge crystalline growths. Had those been here before? He no longer heard birds except for the feverish cawing of the ravens when they attacked. He couldn't smell the small animals of the forest. The mice and rabbits. Where had they gone? And he was getting hungry too. This was an unhealthy place to be.
That throw distance. Actually, quite
The
significant.
20-sided core made him feel physically sick. Once he had sneaked into a temple of the dark art, and he carried his prize back to the Farfarer. Now, he had to make his next move. There was a key
Okay,
Imperial
so
outpost
I've done
on the
both
Nexus.
of these paths.
this
It's whatever
really
I
was
do
some
beyond
sort of
this
super weapon,
point that
He could use it to wreak havoc on the enemy.
will
And
change.
if it wasn't, well, better to know that before the final battle. But maybe he should show it to some scientists first. There was an observatory on the Nexus. Maybe he should go there before he fired it.
We've been making bad decisions all day. Let's continue. What's the worst that could happen?
As he set out
1 in
down the path,
128 chance
now
that we
wondered
die?
Parts of the Sky Ripper had only surfaced
Whatever, what are the odds of that?
thousands of years after the Transcendent Emperor had discarded it. This Emperor, Isengrim III, had performed terrible, bloodthirsty rituals to invoke the lost gods. Perhaps that was bringing up lost artifacts. How perfect, then, that the Sky Ripper would reappear to be his destruction. And, hopefully this time, just his destruction. He was tired of slaughtering ravens. Maybe it was time to test out the new weapon. He turned a knob on the Sky Ripper. It made strange mechanical noises. The wheels spun faster. It began to hum. The Sky Ripper was following his every step. At least
I
it
wonder how
acknowledged
viable
him
a
as the
D20
master.
inside of a
But there was no
gyroscope would
trigger.
be.
How was he supposed to fire it? Fire, he said. Nothing happened. Well, maybe it just needed to warm up. After all, it hadn't been fired in thousands of years. The Sky Ripper was making a whining noise now, and its wheels were spinning so fast he could no longer see them. Renato had a thought. Yeah, sure it will, cracked Renato. Pull the other one.
If you don't trust me, go see Calaveras. He'll tell you the same thing.
Oh, she would say that. That sounded sensible. Why did she always have to sound sensible all the time? Oh, it was infuriating. Of course she would say that. He was supposed to hurry and bring the Sky Ripper to the council so the rebels could actually win the war. But what if she was right? Damn it.
This is my final option, right? Find the archer, find the core. No, I've got one more beyond this. Yes. Last thing I did was get the core or go see Zenobia, so... Well, if that's the case. I'll go meet the scientists. And then I could decide not to get a second opinion. Yeah, let's go do that. Or wait, what? Find the archer, find the core. Is that the scientists? Oh yeah, the rebels, they're the scientists, okay. Yeah, go this way.
Just this. Imperials were flapping and cawing all around the ruins. They must be panicking with rumors flying of the superweapon. Maybe they hoped to find and destroy the base before we could put the Sky Ripper into action. The Sky Ripper was whining and heating up. It would be time to use that energy soon. Funny about librarians. People thought of them as fussy clerks who shushed them for talking. But the librarians thought of their books as sacred, and themselves as priests in a temple of knowledge. Who knew they were willing to die to protect it?
That's a pretty apt description.
Renato had never had a super weapon before.
Oh, yeah, there's definitely something that's
Single-handedly
screwing
took
up
down
my
an
ability to
Imperial base.
dash, because I was just
He felt
dashing
good.
like a couple of inches on the
He
spot
resisted
there.
all the distractions that were thrown in his path. He couldn't wait to attack the enemy fleet.
What was Zenobia talking about? This was a fantastic weapon. Ravens burst into flames with just
Eh.
a touch of its killer beam. He was tempted to leave it on all the time, but he didn't want to accidentally slice off some council toad's head or tongue. She'd been trying to distract him. Well, this time, no one was going to distract him.
Ow. Okay, we're fine.
Long stairs. So he was close to the rebel base. Nothing was on fire. So far, so good.
Really wish I could find out why things aren't freezing sometimes. I hold the button and I attack. The gauge go down, but the enemy do not freeze.
As he headed towards the council chamber, Renato felt everyone watching him.
You've saved the rebellion, said the council speaker. Frankly, we were afraid you'd turn aside to save that idiot Lapino.
Not bloody likely, Renato told them, feeling he was maybe being a bit harsh on the poor mad rabbit.
If you never make sacrifices, he said, you're probably not doing the right thing. The speaker nodded.
Are you ready to lead the charge?
Let's roll, he said, with grim satisfaction. Renato set sail for the fleet. The Sky Ripper had lost its wine. It was humming now, as if it had taken some time to seat properly. He had always been
Am I not supposed to have another option after this? I feel like
he'd done the right
there's
thing.
nowhere else to go.
Made the hard decisions. He was a real hero. He hadn't let himself be distracted by old friends or old lovers turned enemies. Finally, he could be proud of himself.
Hey, you mentioned earlier she wasn't a lover.
He was ready. So was Sky Ripper. The Sky Ripper had a will of its own. It picked up its own targets and set them on fire.
This was going to be a short
Might have just redone a route.
He would set the ships on fire if he
Crap.
didn't need them to get to the Emperor. And he wondered if he'd see Zenobia, or if she'd flee. Wouldn't she be proud of him? At least, a bit of respect. He'd become an all-conquering hero.
What kind of raven can't fly? Thought Renato.
Oh, a new writ.
There was a parchment on a signpost. It was from her.
Every time you fire,
Oh,
you
wait,
risk
no,
the
I have read
destruction of
this.
the
Yes.
universe. That's insane. We surrender.
He'd done it. He'd played chicken with Zenobia and won. He could hear the horns blaring in retreat. She was wiser than he was, that was for sure. But wisdom didn't win battles.
Oh, right, this way. No need to approach anymore. We've got what we need. Just gotta go get our ship.
And there was Zenobia, wearing the white robes of surrender. She came and kneeled before him. Why didn't you listen to me? I was trying to save you too. You're the enemy.
Yeah, this is
he
just
said.
the
I was never your enemy, Renato.
Heat Death of the
And
Universe
he
ending.
realized, not for the first time, how much she loved him.
Then she spoke a terrible word and made a gesture with her hand. She stopped moving, covered in frost, and he wondered why she'd frozen herself. Then the Sky Ripper froze, and then
Fucking
for a
bitch.
moment, he
Agree to
felt
surrender
very
and
cold.
then...
discovered
No,
that he couldn't
you don't
move.
win. We
The
all
next thing he
lose.
The
It
sun
freezes
was a
everybody.
giant, monstrously red. It took up half the sky, and he was in a parched red desert. And then he was on fire.
Well, shit. Yeah, just redid that route. Oops. Okay, I guess we're only getting one more done, not two. Shucks.
The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion
Go talk to that
was in
frog
trouble.
this time.
Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renato knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong. But he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it. To take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also...
Long hair is fun and all,
old
but it's a
friend
pain to
Lupino needed
maintain,
rescuing.
and
Of course,
gets everywhere.
Renato had a
feel like a
pretty
cat
strong
with the amount of hair I
suspicion
find
that
around
Lupino
here.
had betrayed the rebellion. And he had a gut feeling that he needed to
Maybe
use
it's
that to
getting
his
pretty
advantage.
close to the time to shave it all off again.
Every child knew about... As he set foot on the island, Renato couldn't help feeling a bit curious. Was Lupino still waiting to be rescued? No. He was probably drinking champagne with the ravens. Did ravens drink champagne? Did rabbits? Renato...
Anyone ever tell you have a lovely eye? No?
Eh.
The people who had built this castle, did they even know what monstrous weapon lay hidden within their walls? The Sky Ripper could destroy anything it touched, or so the legend said. As the Transcendent Emperor had fought the Lost Gods, thousands and thousands of times. But Renato had been through wars. The only merciful war was a short one. I have to kill to get a drink around here? You? Okay. There it was. Sky Ripper's armor.
Okay, part 2 done.
Engineer's dream. How is it part of a weapon at all? He'd have to ask a scientist. But first, he'd get the second piece. Sky Ripper had a heart. A core that had come to rest on the next island. Well, there was another
We're in
island
this
he could
part 1.
reach.
Shoot.
Zenobia had just invaded it with her father's Raven battalions. She must be encamped there still. But fighting Zenobia now, that made no sense at all. He'd already sacrificed one friend to get this armature, was it?
Well, that's a
He didn't need to hurry.
good
to
bit of
face
luck
her.
at least.
She would find him.
Hopefully it sticks around for a while.
It was... He looked up at the old trees around him. They were so big, so old. They'd been there before he was born, and they'd be there after he'd passed into legend. Was he?
Wait, oh
confronting
darn,
his
this is the
own
wrong way.
importance? What had got into him? He was no philosopher. Anyway, who cares? He was plenty important. He was a hero, and soon he'd prove it.
Sour air here.
There was something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time. There were fewer and fewer trees. There were only these huge crystalline growths. Had those been here before? He no longer heard birds except for the feverish cawing of the raven when they attacked. He couldn't smell the small animals of the forest. The mice and rabbits. Where had they gone? He was getting hungry too. This was an unhealthy place to be.
I was just starting to think when I was going to get my next level.
The 20-sided core made him feel physically sick. Once he had sneaked into a temple of the dark arts, and he hadn't he carried his prize back to the Farfarer. Now he had to make his next move. There
Alright,
was
so
a
that's
key
2.
Imperial outpost on the Nexus.
I did
If
that
this
last
really was
time,
some
so
sort of
the
super
one
weapon,
above me
he
was...
could use it to wreak havoc on the enemy. And if it wasn't, well, better to know that before the final battle. But maybe he should show it to some scientists first. There was an observatory on the Nexus.
Okay, no, I did
Maybe he should go there
do
before he
option
fires.
3, and then I guess I just kind of forgot. It's whatever lies beyond this that I have
As he
to...
set out down the path, Renato wondered
Make
why
sure I
parts
choose the
of
opposite
Sky
one
River
for.
had only surfaced now, thousands of years after the Transcendent Emperor had discarded it. This Emperor, Icengrim III, had performed terrible, bloodthirsty rituals to invoke the lost gods. Perhaps that was bringing up lost artifacts.
Each one of these parts is
Perfect,
rather
then,
quick,
that the
but
Sky Ripper would reappear to be his destruction. And
still
hopefully
not
this
exactly
time,
fast
just his
in
destruction.
the grand scheme of things. Oh, yes, right. New level. Do you swim? Auto recover? Maybe dash.
He was more and more extraordinary. tired of... Renato had never met a weapon without a trigger or a handle. How did this thing work? The Sky Ripper was making a whining noise now, and its wheels were spinning so fast he could no longer see them. Renato had a thought.
Yeah,
Okay,
sure he
new
will.
option.
Crack
Go
Pull the other one.
frog
If you
something or
don't
other.
trust me, go see
Calaveras.
That sounded sensible. Why did she always have to sound sensible all the time? Oh, it was infuriating.
Of course she would say that. He was supposed to hurry and bring the Sky Ripper to the council so the rebels could actually win the war. But what if she was right? Damn it.
Go see Calaveras.
Zenobia was so frustrating. If she couldn't get you with magic, she'd get you with reason and caution and sensible arguments. Of course,
Logic.
Calaveras, he might not know the latest scientific theories with evidence and all, but Renato preferred the knowledge in the old books anyway. What they said felt true, and that's what's important. You should be careful. She'd probably
My
get
belief
some-
makes it
That meant
true.
She'd probably set an ambush for him.
Because I have faith in the words that I read.
Renato landed on the
And the
island,
words that I make up
expecting
about the words that I
Zenobia's
read.
ambush at any moment. On the other hand, there did seem to be a lot of ravens around here. Were they just lost patrols, stirring up trouble? Were they looking for him? If she was going to ambush him, wouldn't she keep the road clear so he wouldn't be on his guard? Unless it was part of the ambush, the obvious ravens he was meant to see to take his mind off the ones he wouldn't see.
Oh, no, that went all right.
After all these years, she still drove him crazy.
I don't know if freezing is an instant kill, but it's, must be pretty close.
Zenobia's ambush never materialized.
Could she?
In which
be
case,
sincere?
do I maybe want to put the attack speed back
Calaveras
on and
was a
take that
great
crit
scholar.
off?
Renato doubted even Zenobia could convince him to say something he didn't believe. He was working for the Empire. He'd never have told Renato about the Sky Ripper in the first place. He would listen to the wise old toad, but that didn't mean he had to agree.
Is this the right way? No. What did it? Oh. Okay, I see where I came from. Yeah, that platform always throws me off a bit.
To his alarm, Renato realized that the rebels had no way of knowing he had a powerful new weapon. He might set off on their attack of the fleet before he could bring the Sky Ripper to the fight. He had to hurry, while there were still rebels to save.
Calaveras examined the Sky Ripper eagerly.
How often does the
What do
new
you want, old
physics
man?
surface?
Tell me.
He brushed off Zenobia's warning. Oh, what a sorceress know about physics. However, he did know a few ways to make the weapon even more precise and more powerful, and quickly went off to tinker. Soon the Sky Ripper no longer whined, but thrummed like a hummingbird taking off. It was ready for war.
And so, Bernardo thanked Calaveras and took the legendary weapon to the final battle. But where were the other rebel ships? Had something happened?
Fully
You could defeat the
functioning.
Imperial fleet with
Max
a Sky Ripper,
capacity.
but he couldn't govern. He was not cut out to be emperor, and he'd no desire to be one. There were a few rebel ships here and there, but there was no organization to the battle. Where was the Council flagship? Something had gone terribly wrong.
But he had the Sky Ripper, and the Ravens had nowhere they could hide. The portal was heavily guarded. Must go someplace they really didn't want him to go.
I think it's doing a bit more damage now. Sorry, do those guys freeze and then immediately unfreeze? Oh, is it because the Skyber's doing fire, like, burning people now? That's a minor annoyance. What is this now?
Council speaker was on the deck, bleeding. Why was she even here? They found our base, she croaked. The council, all dead. We must surrender. No, we can still win this, said Renato. I have the
I have a super
He
weapon.
would be a real hero and save the day, even when all appeared to be lost. You're a good boy, said the speaker. And then she died.
I'm a fox, not a dog. Can't just go around calling me a good boy.
Not really.
All right, almost there.
He fired the Sky Ripper.
What
With a
are those
tremendous
huge
whoosh,
things standing next to the
Emperor's
Emperor? I
flagship
don't
went up in
recognize them from
flames.
anywhere.
And for good measure, he played the beam around it, setting all the other nearby Imperial ships on fire too. And he watched them burn.
See? He could use the Sky Ripper safely.
The few remaining rebels gave a cheer, and then they stopped cheering. There was a hole in the air. A blackness, like a tear in a parchment. Wind was blowing into it, widening it. It grew larger. Crates were falling off ship decks, upwards into the hole.
Ah,
And
quick,
the
destroy it
world
with the
itself
Sky Ripper.
seemed bent, like the reflection on a curved mirror as it poured into the ravenous hole. He guessed that somewhere behind that ever-widening hole were gods that had long been exiled. But it didn't really matter. Time was done for here, and soon it was.
Well, hey, another end of the world. A hero who takes all necessary steps to save the day. Very similar to, oh, I thought I got it somewhere else. So, like... Is it this one? No. Well, no, these are both the free... Where's the... I thought I did a path earlier where I used the Sky Ripper and it blew everything up. What happened to that one? Huh. Oh well. Well, I suppose that is it for the night. It is late. I'm tired and I've got a restless leg going on. I need to go to bed. Oh, thank you very much for stopping by. We will be back here again on Monday, probably, with some more stories, and then back to Mother 3 on Wednesday. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 more routes, and I got like 7 or 8 done today. I'm pretty sure I only had like 4 of these, and then the true ending last time. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so I did like 8 runs or something, and accidentally redid one of them. So this will probably be another 2 sessions, provided I stay at the same pace. Alright, anyway, thank you for stopping by. Please vote and poll and suggestions in box, and I will see you come next Monday. Take care, and good night.